Welcome back to the Self Trust Solution Podcast. I'm your host, Dawn Lede, the Self Trust Coach, and today I am joined by Ray Higdon. Ray is a sales trainer and coach who helps sales professionals stop chasing and start closing with confidence. So, since 2018, he's helped generate over 300,000 new customers by improving posture, conversation, and follow up without pressure or burnout. But what we're really diving into today, what I'm most interested in is a different kind of turning point. So, November 2022, Ray made a decision that completely changed how he showed up in his life and business, one that cost him a multi-million-dollar contract and challenged the expectations of his audience and even those closest to him. What I'm excited for you to hear is what it looks like to trust yourself when the direction you feel called to take doesn't make sense and doesn't come with guarantees. Ray, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So take us to before November of 2022, before this shift that we're going to share and talk about. How would you describe how you were operating in your life and business then?
Yeah, so there's really two pieces that I think is relevant from, 2009 to 2019. The business had grown every single year, and I went from foreclosure, losing it all in real estate to tens of millions of dollars. And so 2019, from the look of it, I am winning on every single level, right? I got amazing family, got money in the bank. I'm speaking on all these different stages. And I'd achieved so many of the financial goals that I'd put out there, but I didn't feel any different about myself. And I thought, hey, if I did this, I'll feel better, or I'll do this, then I'll be worthy, or I'll do this. And I didn't know exactly what it looked like of what I thought money, success would do for me, but it wasn't doing that. And so the second piece is starting in 2020, I went on a very different journey of, maybe I need healing. I grew up in a very abusive home. So I tried different therapies. I tried hypnosis. I did 2 years of 1 to 3 hours a day of meditation. And all of that stuff helped, but it wasn't the answer. And then in November of 2022, through an interesting series of things, I found the Lord. And I didn't grow up in the church or anything like that. So this was very foreign to me. And that's really what changed everything.
Yeah. So from the outside, everything looked like success. Everything
Absolutely.
looked like what you had exactly been working to build. But inside, what would you describe that feeling if you could, that disconnect
You
or
know, I there was an interview that after 2022, I really resonated with, and I feel like he said it perfectly. So there was a NFL player on 60 Minutes, and he had just won like I think his third Super Bowl. And the interviewer asks, he says, "Man, you got to be feeling on top of the world, like you got to be, just so fired up and excited for life." And he said, most days I wonder, is this all there is? And I feel like something's missing. And the interviewer said, was kind of surprised and said, "Well, what do you think it is?" He goes, "I wish I knew." And that NFL player was Tom Brady.
yeah.
And so I just felt like something was missing and I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah. Well,
And
and you had exhausted a lot of avenues of trying to fill
that's right.
that missing was, right? So
For sure.
you've told us that what really happened was finding the Lord. Take us to that moment. I believe you said it was November 14th.
That's
What
right. That's right.
actually happened to you?
Yeah. So My, my wife had spoken at an event maybe, I don't know, a month earlier or something like that, maybe a month and a half earlier. She had spoken at a women's event in Nashville, and she came back home and she goes, "Hey, I met someone you should talk to." And I'm like, okay. And he happened to be the MC of this women's event. And he lives in Miami. I live in Naples, Florida. I didn't know him. He didn't know me, but we, scheduled a Zoom call. And so I get on with him, and the first words out of his mouth are, I see a big vision for you and God. I'm like, okay. I figured he was raising money. Like,
Mm.
I was very cynical, skeptical. Like, I don't know you, buddy. Like, I didn't grow up in the church. I didn't know anything about anything. And so I just thought that's kind of a crazy thing to start off with. We talked for like an hour and it really didn't make sense, but it felt true. And so the next day, my wife and I, we go to a networking meeting here in Naples. And I see this guy, and I've met him before, but I didn't remember his name, didn't know what he did or anything. And so we walk into this networking function, and he turns, and as soon as he sees me, he says, "I see a big vision for you and God." And I'm like, "Whoa, that's weird." Like, he doesn't know that other guy. Like, that's verbatim what this is strange. And he goes, "We need to pray." And so this guy is Marine Corps, former corrections officer, 6'5", giant of a man, and he's a pastor. And so he puts his big bear paws on me and we start praying, or he starts praying. I don't start praying. He starts praying and I start crying. I start weeping and shaking. I don't know what is going on. And we're in the middle of this networking function. There's like 200 people around us seated. We're standing. He's again 6'5". And after the only thing I remember him saying, I don't remember anything else. The only thing I remember him saying is, and he's yelling, he says, "You're going to face a fork in the road and you got to choose God." And he's just yelling it. And so, like, after what seems like 10 minutes to me, 20 minutes, I mean, it just felt like forever. I get out of the prayer clutch and I'm thinking this is embarrassing, right? Because there's like hundreds of people around and they're within, I could smack them, right? They're like, we're literally in the middle. We get out of this prayer clutch. No one said a word. No one saw anything. And so I'm looking around like no one batted an eye at the grown man weeping and shaking and the guy bellowing his face off. And so we go downstairs and I ask my wife, I'm like, "Man, did that just happen?" And she goes, "Oh, it happened." I'm like, "But no one saw anything." She goes, "I have no idea." And so we're like really confused. And so I wrestled with it for a couple weeks. And then on November 14th, 2022, that's when I invited the original guy from Miami. He brought a guy from church. And that's when we accepted the Lord.
Mm. Good and amazing story. So what was your faith like or not like before that?
I mean, I was very new age. I was very much, we are the manifester, and if it's going to be, it's up to me, and it's all about your subconscious. And not that I don't think any of that stuff is valid. I think a lot of it is valid, but the biggest difference was me not being the source and God being the source. And I think that's the biggest distinction. So, it's weird to go back and even think like, how did I think? I think I believed in a higher power. I just didn't know what that looked like and didn't know what does that mean? Is it the universe? Is it, whatever. So I was more new age.
Got it. And you said the next morning you woke up and you knew you weren't the same person.
When you do 1 to 3 hours a day of meditation for 2 years, you really get to know your body. Like
Mm,
I learned that if I got up, this kind of shows how, I can be. But I would get up at 1 a.m. because that's when your melatonin's the highest and it would produce the most powerful meditations. And so I would get up and do 90-minute meditation at 1 a.m. and go back to bed. And it was wild. That next morning, I swing my feet over. And as soon as my feet hit the ground, I'm like, what the heck? And I'm looking at my hands and I'm looking at the sunrise and I am not the same person. And I don't know anything. I don't know born anew or born again, or I don't know any of these things because I don't know anything.
mhm,
And so I had this overwhelming nudge to pray, but I don't know how to pray. And so I just, got on my knees and I'm like, "God, tell me what to do. If you want me to shut the business down, tell me what to do. I'll be obedient." And I very strongly got go live. And I'm like,
mm,
uh, I don't want to go live. Like that was not Ray's idea. I did not want to go live. And so
mm,
I wrestled with it because I'd been a public speaker, a keynote speaker for 20 years. I never said the word God ever from stage or with clients or anything. And so I wrestled with it for several hours and eventually I go live. It's called My Apology to God. and that gets 50,000 views the first day. And that kind of kicked off a whole stream of interesting things that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Something comes to mind when you share that about how you just knew you were different is that, you know, that s scripture line that says something like scales fell from his eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Like I literally, like
Yeah.
I'm looking at my hands
Mhm.
and I'm looking at the sunrise and it's different colors. It's like 4K. I'm like, this is so wild. Like I felt like I was on a trip or something. And, and so it was crazy.
So you mentioned that some of what you felt led to do, like the going live, didn't make logical sense, and
Not at all.
maybe even your wife questioned some of it. What did that tension feel like in real time where you're both, "What is this?"
I'm trying to remember where she was because I'm pretty sure she was out of the house at that point. So we didn't discuss that.
Mm.
Um, there were times where we had major clashes and, probably the biggest time was October of 2023. We go on a Holy Land tour of Israel.
Mm.
And so I get baptized in the Sea of Galilee. We're touring all these amazing sites. I mean, just amazing Capernaum and Nazareth. And, it's just awesome. And we were there when October 7th happened, when the war broke out, when the music festival was attacked, when all this big hubbub, started. And so we went from gift shops and, buying, souvenirs and taking selfies to the bomb shelter 4 times. And so, here we are in Jerusalem and, we were in the bomb shelter 4 different times and she is freaking out. She bought 6 different flights. They all got canceled. And so literally the toughest week of our, 15-year marriage by far. And I'm praying, I'm telling her it's going to be okay. She's not listening. She's freaking out. And, we have one last fight. We make it to the airplane, to the plane to get out our original thing. So we were there 5 days after October 7th happened. So it was just sheer terror and sheer fear and just fight or flight for 5 days straight. And we get on the plane. We have one last fight on the actual plane. And I think to myself, man, this is the first time I've ever thought this. Are we even going to be together when we land? And that's when God showed me, I thought he was working on her. He was actually working on me because one of my wounds was not being heard as a kid. And I'm trying to tell her that in prayer, we're going to be okay. She ain't listening. And so that wound kept coming up of me not being listened to as a kid. And when I realized that, we've never been closer. Like I got out,
Mm.
she was actually sitting in front of me. We were in first class and I, got out, kissed her and hugged her. And they're like, go back to your seat. And it was just awesome, and we've been so much closer ever since.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about these moments where kind of you're wondering if you're going crazy. Like, how do you navigate these spaces between doubt and conviction about between calling and uncertainty?
Crazy.
Mhm.
It's interesting, because your podcast is called Self-Trust, and that absolutely is part of it. It absolutely is because for me, I have to trust that I am hearing him in prayer. And so so for me, hearing in prayer it's not that I hear some external voice. I don't hear a Ray, thou shan't do this. I don't hear James Earl Jones or Clint Eastwood or some booming voice.
Mm.
For me, and this is different for people, some people see images and visions or dreams. Like my wife gets dreams all the time that kind of instruct her on what to do. I don't typically get that. But for me, it's my own internal voice, but it's words I wouldn't use. And
Mhm.
so one of the most prominent times that I got it is I was very frustrated. So like when I accepted Christ, I I thought everything would get better. Like actually everything got worse. Like my life fell to pieces. I lost all kinds of, multi-million-dollar contracts, big money clients. Like I mean, I just went through the ringer. And I remember this was probably, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 months in, maybe a year in. I'm so frustrated. My oldest son isn't talking to me. I've lost all kinds of money, all kinds of investments. And I get into prayer and I'm just frustrated. I'm like, God, what is going on? And I get in my own internal voice, I had to keep breaking you so you would keep searching and find the need to love yourself. Now, I don't know what that means. Those are not my words. I would not come up with those words. Where did they come from? And so I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't know what it means. And so it took about 2 weeks. But what was revealed to me was I had a program that I ran every night. And it was basically I would analyze that day and I would locate one thing to beat myself up about, either something I did or something I didn't do. Every night I would just, before I'd lay down to bed and just calculate, okay, what did I do wrong today? Or what did I not do? I would find it, beat myself up, then go to bed. How unhealthy. And so I was a bully to myself. There was a part of me that hated myself. And that was revealed to me. I've since broken that off. I don't do any of that kind of stuff anymore. And so that's the kind of stuff. Now I've had all kinds of wild adventures that my wife is just she just shakes her head at. But yeah, it's trusting, okay, am I actually hearing from the Lord? Am I actually being guided or am I just nuts? And so I got lots of those stories.
Mm. So tell us a little bit about that multi-million-dollar contract that you lost. What was that experience like?
Yeah. So I had just spoken at an event in Calgary. There was 2,000 people there, and the organizers of that event, they loved it. Like, they loved what I taught. They thought it was just awesome, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna put you as the head coach over our entire sales team." And they have a humongous sales team, a global team, and that was going to be multiple millions of dollars. I invited them to my event, and my event that year was Faith Over Fear. It was my very first Faith Over Fear, and it was called Faith Over Fear Business Summit. I had John Maxwell there. I had several other pretty big names there, and it was very faith forward. It was very faith heavy, faith strong, and they were not about that. And so they literally left in the middle of the event and cut off everything. And so that was one of probably 10 different clients that were, high paying clients that I lost. And what I've learned, because in the beginning I was so on fire, what I've learned is I'm very much less faith forward and more value forward. And then sometimes I earn the right and they want to know about my faith and I share it. And so it's definitely been a learning process for me.
Yeah. What helped you continue forward with those moments of, real loss, real resistance?
Just God's promises. And so like there are there's a lot of, I ask a lot of questions in prayer and I go on prayer walks and I ask questions. And, like if you look at the story of David, right, he knew that Goliath couldn't kill him because he'd already been told he would be king. He wasn't yet king, so he couldn't have been killed. He walked in the promise.
Mm.
And so in asking in prayer, Lord, what do you have planned for me? That gave me the strength to move past any circumstance. And so I've had lots of them. I've had lawsuits, I've had loss, I've had investments go up in smoke. I've also had good things. I've had things that, showed up unexpectedly. I've had companies hire me out of the blue. They were, billion-dollar companies that had never hired me before. And so I've had the good, but it's just it just cling to the promises of what I've gotten in prayer and I keep moving forward.
Mhm. Yeah, it's trusting God and being led. And
And
so
self-trust that you're
yeah,
here.
and self-trust. Well, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I learned through my own journey of it started with faith, a knowledge of my faith, like knowing it, believing it, but not really owning it and living it.
Sure.
And the self-trust piece came from a true acknowledgement of I have been operating and succeeding without any of it. And what I've found through that walk of growing in my faith and in self-trust is it's the same conversation
Mm.
if you
Yeah.
let it be.
Yeah. Yeah,
because
I mean,
we
yeah,
can't trust what we don't know. And if we are not knowing and believing that not only that God is good, but he's good for you specifically, good to you. And
yes.
for those of us in these kinds of positions, he's good through us as well. So,
Amen. I think a lot of people know well, I think there are a lot of people that love God, but don't have any idea how much he loves them.
yeah.
And a lot of times that comes from father wounds. I didn't have the greatest relationship with my dad, and I projected how I thought about my dad toward God. I thought he was
Yeah.
mean, uncaring. I'd never be good enough. He'd never be proud of me, and that's just not accurate.
It's so true. We shrink him and we make him mirror people in our lives that
Yeah,
he is
well
nothing
said.
like.
Well said.
So, it's very true, and it makes such a big difference. It's so hard. I wrote a book called Trust, Surrender, Obey,
Mm,
and it's hard to trust someone that you don't know. Oh, surrender feels really dangerous and scary unless you know that the person you're trusting has you so completely, and obedience feels like capture. It feels it like imprisonment until you realize who you're obeying.
that is very well said. Very well said.
And when you do, then it's freedom. It's pure freedom. So,
That's right. That's right.
yeah, I love that work is being found out in the world through, like, avenues of business and goals and making a mark and impact in the world because they're so tied together if we let it. It
I
becomes
agree.
mission instead of just work.
Yeah, sonship versus servanthood, daughtership versus
Yeah.
servanthood. It's not like, "Okay, boss, I'll do it." He's God the Father, not the Godfather. And so it's, "Oh, you're asking me to do something. I'm honored and I want to represent you. Thank you for choosing me." Like I
Yeah.
feel honored.
It's such a perspective shift from when we think that we're being, like, forced through things instead of cared for through things,
That's right.
guided through. Yeah. You mentioned that early on emotions and desires could get mixed in. How did you begin to distinguish between those, like what you felt was true direction and maybe just, yeah, emotions and desires?
That has been a very major learning. There's a verse that I've found and it just blew me away. It's Ezekiel 14:4, and it says, "Those who come to me with idols in their heart, I'll respond to them according to the idols in their heart."
Mm,
And so there were 3 areas that I would consistently find out later that I got wrong answers in prayer. And that was food. 'Cause when I grew up, I mean, every night I would go to bed dreaming about eating because I was starving. I was just not in the greatest household. And, number 2, money, and actually wrote a book, and the first chapter is, "Money was my master, but only when I was broke."
mm,
So anytime I've been broke, I've been broke twice, and it's just like I was stressed out, and it just controlled my emotions and everything.
mm.
And so I had 3 idols in my heart. Food, so when I would pray about, "God, should I eat this?" I'd get a yes, and I'd eat the burrito or whatever, right? And that was more Ray, that wasn't God.
Yeah.
And then money, I would just make mistakes. I would invest in things I wasn't supposed to invest in. I would do different things like that. And the 3rd was my wife.
Mm,
In that when I started dating my wife 18 or 19 years ago, we've been married for 15, but when I started dating her, it was when I'd lost everything. I was in foreclosure, I was dead broke. She was paying my utility bills. So I had don't let wife down as honestly my number 1 marching priority.
mm,
And so when times got tough and I knew I was letting her down, that was very hard. And so I prayed for God to take, the food and the money part away, but the wife came in a very interesting thing. We were having an argument about money, and but this time it was different. I mean, we've argued about money a bunch of times, but this time it was different. And I prayed afterwards, and I'm like, "Man, what that was different. It went better than it's ever gone." And I feel like I stood up better than I ever have.
mm,
And in prayer, I had to get you to trust me more than you were worried about letting her down. I'm like,
mhm.
"Whoa," 'cause I realized I didn't have the priority right. I had not let her down, trust God somewhere here. And so, he helped me with that. And it's interesting because it's not like, well, now I'm okay letting her down, right? Like, screw it, like, no, actually, we are closer than ever before. And we like it's everything's better. And so with God, I think some people that have big goals are worried about surrendering because they're like, I got big goals. I got big things I want to do. Well, his ways are higher than our ways. And when we surrender to him, he knitted us together. He knows exactly what will lift our heart, what will give us purpose, what will give us, just joy. And so if I surrender to my wife, she'll do the best she can, but there's pieces of me she may not know, she may not understand the adventurous side or whatever. She would do the best she could, but if you surrender to him, then, it's gonna be amazing because
Mm,
his ways are
yeah.
higher
Well,
than
and
our
it's
ways.
that idea. That's why trust has to be in it because we assume when we think of surrender that it means we don't get what we want.
Right.
And the truth is that's not always the case. It could be better than anything. If we allow it, it's going to be better than we can even think of. But we're
That's right.
assuming it's going to be terrible and it's not what you want.
Right. Like you're
And
gonna be Mother
so
Teresa, just pour
exactly.
and yeah.
And what I love about what you said about not it doesn't mean now you want to let her down.
Right.
You just don't have to think about it because it becomes the expression of the trust
Mm,
in God and going
yes.
discerning
Well
his
said.
place. Yeah.
Well
Like
said.
we're
Yeah.
so always trying to fix what is an actual expression where the symptom instead of the root. And what
Right.
you've done there is now found the root. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well said.
So you said something powerful that now you love every minute of your career, which wasn't the
Oh,
case before. So tell us
yeah.
what's different? What's different about you and your work, how you work?
Yeah, so it's probably now been a year, maybe. I remember I'm always looking for good questions to ask in prayer. And I heard someone say, ask God, what is he what is he wanting to do? What is he wanting to create for you in your business? I'm like, ooh, that's a good question. And so I prayed, God, what do you want to create for me in my business? And the word freedom came up. And at the time, I did not feel free. I had a lot of clients that were like, "Ugh," I just they were paying, but either they weren't implementing what I was telling them, or unorganized, or just not doing the things
Mm,
right. And so I did not feel free. Fast forward to July 1. So July 1st last year, I log in the morning and my YouTube account is shut down. And I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on that YouTube. I mean, we had, two different reality shows on there. We had, so many professional edited videos on there, and we had some backups, but not everything. And so I'm looking at the page and it says, do you want to appeal? And I'm like, millions of views. And I pray, am I appealing this? No. Okay. And like, all right, you're starting new and you're going to focus on sales. And I'm like, huh. I mean, I taught sales in one way, shape, or another for 20 years, but I also taught marketing and branding and this and that and mindset. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to trust. And so I start a brand new channel all on sales. And those clients that I really didn't enjoy didn't renew.
mm,
New clients came in, and those clients were awesome.
mm,
And so now, I mean, it took, I would guess, maybe 4 or 5 months. But I remember one day I wake up and I look at my calendar, and every single thing on my calendar I'm looking forward to. And
mm,
I've never had that my entire life. And
mm,
so I love what I do. I'm mainly training sales teams and helping people make more sales. And I just love it.
mm.
I barely have to prepare. I mean, I just show up and they ask questions and I answer them, and they pay great. They renew all the time. Like it's just been awesome.
Yeah. I hope what a lot of people take away from that is that when things shift, it's because of releasing of something, surrendering, if you will, not adding a bunch of new things on
That's
and not
right.
clinging to what already is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've dropped so many projects. I
Yeah.
mean, I've probably dropped 8 to 10 projects in the last year and a half. And all of them I thought was going to be like, oh, this isn't going to go well. It all went super smooth, like
Mm,
all of it. And it was like, I feel so much freer. Like, wow. So it's been
right?
awesome.
I know we hold so tight to some things. And I always say part of it is that whole adage when a lot of us growing up, you had to finish what you started.
Right.
You started
Right.
on a sports team, you had to finish it. Like
That's
we
right.
carry that into our lives and our businesses. I'm gonna just keep doing this until I'm done doing it. I'm like, it is not working. Are we
Right.
doing that? So
Well,
yeah,
biblically, God says to Moses, he goes, what's in your hand? Throw it down.
yeah,
And so like, I just feel like that's an instruction for us of, hey,
exactly.
maybe we're not supposed to hold on to these things.
Yeah, I had a really powerful image at a silent retreat once where I am carrying this really heavy backpack and I'm walking up this hill with Jesus
Mm.
and he asked me for the backpack. And when Jesus asks you for something, and so I gave it to him and I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna carry it. And he did not. He just put it down. He was like, this does not need to be carried. It
That's
was
awesome.
never meant to be. So maybe there was a point for something that you're carrying that you were supposed to carry, but or maybe it was never meant to be carried, but just know that now is the moment that you can set it down and just
And
say,
it's okay.
here's your permission right here. Ray and I are giving it
That's
to
right.
you.
That's right.
So, for someone listening who may not use the same language, but knows they're being pulled in a direction that doesn't make logical sense, how would you describe what it means to trust?
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of moments like that. I would say is I think I heard this said by I think it was Stephen Bartlett, the Diary of a CEO guy. He
Mm,
said that, there's two types of decisions, right? There's irreversible and there's reversible. And too often we take a very reversible thing and we think it's irreversible,
mm, mm,
right? You leaving a job is very reversible. You can go get another job, right? You can take your resume, go, you can find another job. What's actually irreversible is regret. What's irreversible is not making the leap and not, and taking 10 years of doing something you hate.
mhm,
And I learned this very early on. I remember I was working at a Winn-Dixie when I was like 18 maybe, and I hung around a very bad crowd in high school. And so I'm looking for advice because I want to get away from them. I don't want to
mm,
do that stuff anymore. And so I go to the store manager who's like, I think he was like 32 at the time. And I said, hey, you've been here a long time, right? He goes, oh yeah, I've been here 12 years. I'm like, oh wow, you must love it. He goes, I hate it. And I'm like, why, what do you like? I'm young. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you doing? Right. And I'm like, well, okay, you hate it, but you've been here 12 years. He goes, yeah, at this point, I'm making enough money that I couldn't make the same thing anywhere else. And I'm thinking, whoa. And that stuck with me my entire life. Anytime I was in a career that I started to hate, I'm like, I got to get out of here.
mm,
Now, crazy thing about that story about, so I mean, I was 18. So, let's see, 22 years later. Okay. My wife and I are featured in a newspaper article here locally. And a guy reaches out to me and says, hey, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I was your store manager at Winn-Dixie. I'm like, yeah, because I've actually shared that story a million times. I'm like, oh no, I
wow.
wonder if he's heard it. And he said, yeah, I saw your article. Congratulations. Can you do lunch, man? I'd love to talk with you. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So we do lunch. He's still at Winn-Dixie.
Mm,
He still hates it. Ugh. And so like that just stuck with me. So that's irreversible for you to spend 34 years minimum at a job you hate. I don't think God put you on here to toil at a job you can't stand. And so trust it. So is the decision reversible? That's, question
yeah.
number one, right? And it most likely is. Question number two, is it going to grow me? Am I going to is this going to be adventurous? Am I going to grow in some way, shape, or form? And so those are, I think, the two most important questions.
Mhm.
And what does it look like? If this works, will I love it? That's a great question too, because there's, what's the is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Is
Yeah.
is if I go and this is successful and awesome, will I enjoy it? Or do I even know? You might not know.
Yeah.
And so, but if you know you don't like where you are,
Yeah.
then the biggest risk is staying put.
Yeah. And stop trying to predict the future too much, right? Like,
Yeah.
am I gonna love it? Is a possible. You won't know
Yeah.
until you do it.
That's true.
So
And,
it's
and
like,
some
is it worth
sometimes
trying?
sometimes it's important for you to learn that you don't love it,
Exactly.
but
Because
you would
how
never
would
know
you
that.
know? Otherwise, you're gonna wonder and
Right.
you're gonna stay at Winn-Dixie for
That's
way
right.
too long.
That's right.
Yeah. And please also don't ask yourself anything about comfort because it's all gonna be uncomfortable.
That's right. Yeah. Anything you haven't done is uncomfortable.
So is staying where you are, by the way, if you don't like it. It's also very uncomfortable. So tell us a little bit about what you're focused on now in your work.
Yeah, so I train a lot of sales teams, and so sometimes it's real estate, insurance, financial planners. Sometimes it's network marketers, direct sales. I have a deep background in that
Mm.
industry, and usually I'm looking at their scripts, their follow ups, their ads, their funnels, and just helping them make more sales. So I need to do a better job of wording it. So you started off by saying since 2018 I've generated over 300,000. It's since 2018, I've helped our students
Mhm.
generate 300,000 new clients
Right
and
on.
or new customers. And so we just I love tracking, I love helping people make more sales, and, so that's primarily what I'm doing nowadays.
What do you do? You help people make money and get
Yes.
and help other people. You help people help more people.
Yeah, and I think there's a whole I think there's millions of people out there that they have a product or service they believe in that would be helpful, but they just don't know how to sell it. And so that's where I can come in and look at what you're trying to sell and help you sell more of that thing that's going to benefit humanity. That's going to
Yeah.
benefit, the people you're supposed to benefit.
We are built for service, all of us,
That's
in
right.
one way or whatever that mission looks like for you, whether it is through marketing, sales,
Yeah.
any kind of way, we are all built for service. So tell us where people can connect with you, learn more about you.
Yeah. So, I post a lot of fun stuff on our Instagram channel. It's just at Ray Higdon. If you are wanting to improve sales, we post a lot of content on our new YouTube channel at it's higdongroup.com/channel.
Mm.
And we post videos literally all the time, for free. So you can check that out. We specialize in helping people that want to sell more without being pushy or annoying or chasing or bugging or any of that kind of stuff. What I've found is people that say, I don't want to be pushy, they often end up being pushy because they don't have the skills needed to not be pushy.
Or they're
And
silent,
what's that?
or they're silent.
Or they don't talk to anybody and they never sell anything. And so, like, learn the skills because you probably have a great product or service. You just need to help more people with it, and to do that, you do need skills.
Yeah. Well, we'll have all of those links so that you can connect with Ray in our show notes. Ray, this conversation is such a powerful example of what it looks like to trust yourself, to trust God, even when the path doesn't make sense and even when it comes with a real cost. And I think what stands out most is that self-trust isn't about certainty. It's not about knowing exactly what's going to happen. It's not even about understanding the path often. Sometimes it's just choosing to move forward with conviction anyway. So thank you so much for
Well
being
said.
here and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, if today's conversation stirred something in you, I want you to take one next step before you close this episode. Go take the self trust identity map because before strategy, before motivation, before effort, you need to know where your identity is operating from because that is what determines everything that follows. It's free, it takes 3 minutes, and it will give you a precise read on where you're operating from right now and exactly where to focus next. The link is in the show notes, and we'll see you next time. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming. These stories are just getting started.